Most people think butter is one of the simplest foods you can buy. After all, if the package says, butter, it has to be made from cream, right? Well, not always. Take a walk through the dairy aisle, and you'll find dozens of products sitting side by side that all look almost identical. Some come in golden wrappers. Others proudly display pictures of fresh butter melting over toast. A few even have the word, butter, printed in huge letters across the front. But flip those packages over, and an entirely different story begins to unfold. Some contain added vegetable oils. Others include emulsifiers, preservatives, or flavorings designed to imitate the taste and texture of traditional butter. And in some cases, the product isn't actually pure butter at all. It's a blend that's been carefully marketed to look like the real thing. The surprising part is that most shoppers never notice the difference. In fact, many people have been buying the same brand for years without ever reading the ingredient list. They assume that because it's sitting in the butter section, it must be exactly what their grandparents bought decades ago. But food manufacturing has changed dramatically over the years. Companies have introduced new formulas to improve spreadability, extend shelf life, reduce production costs, or appeal to changing nutrition trends. None of those changes automatically make a product bad. Some people actually prefer butter blends because they're softer straight from the refrigerator or lower in saturated fat. The problem begins when shoppers don't realize what they're actually buying. Today's video isn't about fear or sensational headlines. It's about understanding the labels so you can decide what belongs in your shopping cart based on facts instead of clever packaging. We'll look at 7 popular butter brands and butter-like products that may not be the best choice if you're looking for traditional butter. Then, we'll reveal 3 brands that keep things refreshingly simple by sticking close to the classic recipe that's been around for centuries. And before we finish, there's one tiny detail on every package that can tell you almost everything you need to know in less than 5 seconds. Once you learn it, you'll probably never shop for butter the same way again. Let's start with one of the most recognizable names in the refrigerated aisle. Country Crock has been a household name for generations. Many families grew up seeing its familiar tubs on the breakfast table, and because it's displayed near butter, it's easy to assume that's exactly what it is. But Country Crock was never designed to be traditional butter. Its original products are vegetable oil spreads. Depending on the variety, the main ingredients include oils such as soybean, palm, or canola oil mixed with water, emulsifiers, and flavorings that create a buttery taste. That formula serves a purpose. It's easy to spread, even when it's cold, and many consumers buy it specifically for that convenience. However, if your goal is buying real butter made primarily from churned cream, Country Crock simply doesn't fit that definition. This highlights one of the biggest sources of confusion in the dairy aisle. Many people use the words butter, margarine, and spread almost interchangeably, even though they're very different products. Traditional butter starts with cream. Margarine and vegetable oil spreads start with oils. The final texture may look similar, but the ingredient lists tell completely different stories. And that brings us to another famous product that's been confusing shoppers for decades. "I can't believe it's not butter" practically tells you what it is before you even read the label. It was created as a butter alternative rather than a replacement made from dairy cream. Its ingredients typically include vegetable oils, water, emulsifiers, and natural or artificial flavorings designed to recreate the rich taste of butter. Over the years, the brand has expanded into multiple varieties with slightly different formulations, but the central idea has remained the same. It's an oil-based spread, not traditional butter. For consumers intentionally looking for a butter substitute, that's perfectly fine. But if you're searching for authentic butter, this is another product that doesn't make the cut. Now here's where things become much more interesting. Some products actually do contain real butter. In fact, butter is often listed as one of the first ingredients. So you'd expect them to qualify as pure butter. But that's where the ingredient label reveals something the front of the package doesn't emphasize. Land O'Lakes spreadable butter with canola oil is one of the best examples. At first glance, the packaging looks almost identical to traditional butter products sold by the same company. The familiar logo is there. The word butter is prominently displayed. And because it's made by a respected dairy brand, many shoppers assume they're getting the exact same product in a more convenient container. In reality, this version combines butter with canola oil. The added oil keeps the butter soft enough to spread immediately after taking it out of the refrigerator. There's nothing mysterious about that. The company clearly identifies it as a spreadable butter product. But here's the important distinction. Once vegetable oil is blended into butter, you're no longer buying pure butter. You're buying a butter blend. That difference may not matter to everyone. Some people actually prefer the softer texture. Others appreciate not having to wait for butter to warm up before spreading it on toast. But if you're trying to keep your ingredient list as simple as possible, it's something worth noticing. And Land O'Lakes isn't the only major brand taking this approach. Another well-known dairy company offers a remarkably similar product that many shoppers mistake for traditional butter. And once you compare the labels side by side, the similarities become impossible to ignore. Another brand that follows the same formula is Challenge spreadable butter with canola oil. Challenge has a long history of making traditional dairy butter, so it's easy to assume every product with its name is simply butter in a different package. But the spreadable version is a little different. Like other butter blends, it's made by combining real butter with canola oil to create a softer texture that spreads easily, even straight from the refrigerator. If convenience matters most, that's exactly what it's designed for. But if you're looking for traditional butter, the added oil means it no longer has the same simple ingredient profile. That brings us to another familiar name. Smart Balance has built its reputation as a heart-conscious alternative to butter. Many people choose it because it's marketed as a healthier spread, especially for those trying to reduce saturated fat. But despite sitting in the butter aisle, Smart Balance isn't traditional butter. Most varieties are made primarily from vegetable oils, along with water, emulsifiers, vitamins, and flavorings to recreate the taste of butter. That doesn't automatically make it a bad product. For some households, it's exactly what they're looking for. But if your goal is real butter made from cream, Smart Balance belongs in a different category. Next is Blue Bonnet. This longtime brand is best known for margarine, and many of its products are still oil-based spreads rather than true butter. Depending on the variety, you'll typically find vegetable oils, water, emulsifiers, and flavorings instead of the simple cream-based recipe that defines traditional butter. Again, the point isn't that one product is right and another is wrong. It's simply recognizing that butter substitutes and real butter are different products, even when they're displayed side by side. That brings us to the final category worth watching. Store-brand spreadable butter blends. Nearly every major grocery chain sells its own version. The front usually highlights the word butter, but the ingredient list often reveals added canola, soybean, sunflower, or other vegetable oils. They're popular because they're affordable and easy to spread. But they're still butter blends, not pure butter. Now let's look at 3 brands that keep things refreshingly simple. First is Kerrygold Pure Irish Butter. One reason it's so popular is its incredibly short ingredient list. The unsalted version contains only pasteurized cream. The salted version contains pasteurized cream and salt. That's it. No vegetable oils. No emulsifiers. No preservatives. Because it's made from the milk of primarily grass-fed Irish cows, it's also known for its rich flavor and naturally golden color. Next is Plugre European-style butter. European-style butter contains slightly more butterfat than standard American butter, giving it a richer texture. Just as importantly, the ingredients stay simple. Cream and salt, if you choose the salted version. That's exactly what traditional butter is supposed to be. Finally, there's Organic Valley pasture butter. Its ingredient list is just as straightforward. Organic cream. Salt. Nothing more. For shoppers who prefer simple ingredients, it's another excellent option. By now, you've probably noticed the pattern. The three brands we've recommended all have one thing in common: short ingredient lists. And that leads to the easiest shopping tip you'll ever use. The next time you're buying butter, ignore the front of the package. Turn it over and read the ingredients. If you see cream or cream and salt, you found traditional butter. If you see canola oil, soybean oil, palm oil, sunflower oil, emulsifiers, preservatives, or added flavorings, you're looking at a butter blend or a butter substitute. Neither option is automatically better or worse. They simply serve different purposes. Some people prefer blends because they're softer. Others choose vegetable oil spreads for their own dietary goals. The important thing is knowing exactly what you're buying. That's because marketing can tell one story, while the ingredient list tells another. Two packages may look almost identical and sit right next to each other, yet one contains only cream and salt while the other includes several added ingredients. Once you get into the habit of reading labels, spotting real butter becomes incredibly easy. At the end of the day, the best choice depends on your needs. But whatever you buy, it's always better to make that decision with clear information rather than clever packaging. The next time you're in the dairy aisle, take 5 extra seconds. Flip the package over. Read the ingredients. You might be surprised by what you find. If you enjoyed this video and want more grocery investigations, honest food label breakdowns, and simple tips to help you shop smarter, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.